Welcome to another episode of One of Us Knows What They're Talking About, and the other one is you. I'm Lori Burch, your host. Join us as we discuss and unpack wills, trusts, estate planning, and probate law in a way that's actually informative, interesting, and, well, hopefully entertaining. Because if you don't have a will, the state of Texas has one for you. Let's dive in. Every episode, I'm less and less prepared. And yet, I've been doing this for so long.
Doing what?
This, talking about things.
I thought you meant just existing. I was like, yeah, you have.
I have. I used to do this thing where when I'd be in networking groups and people would say, I have this in this business and I've been doing that since 19 blah, blah, blah. And so I got up and said, I'm Lori Burch and I've been doing that since 1976 because it sounded better than I've been an estate planning attorney for 9 months. But I'm past that. You know, I'll tell you, it was interesting starting my own practice at the age of 27 because an argument could be made that I had no idea what I was doing. And why would I think that I could just do this? And yet I did. And so one of my bigger concerns starting a legal practice at the age of 27 is that I thought a lot of people may not want to come to me because I was so young, so they would perceive that as being inexperienced. I was wrong because I would get people who would say, no, we wanted to come to you because you are younger. And so there's a good chance that you'll still be around when I die and you'll be there to be able to help my family. And I thought, aha, this is a marketing ploy. I feel like right now I'm at the nexus of the two camps of where I'm young enough to still use that of being around, but have enough experience to also be able to play the experience and knowledge card.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought for the day. So the holidays are upon us, right? And not only when we're recording this, but even more so when this escapes. Did I mention that expression last time?
Escapes?
Did I not? So,
No.
okay, that's an Elvis reference because, you know, when he first started, he was very controversial. So one time on Ed Sullivan, he was talking about how his newest song was about to be released. That's what they would say. But he would say that it would escape rather than be released. It's about to escape because there was so much blowback from his music. So, anyway, there you go. The more you know. Anyway, so yes, so when this escapes or is released or when it drops, homies, it'll be even closer to the holiday season, even though it seems like every year stores and corporations move the bar on when to start. So we're going to talk more about like holiday traditions, and we're going to talk about significantly things that are important when it comes to the world of estate planning and timing and urgency and traditions that surround those sorts of things, both good and bad. But let's do a segue here where how early do you think it's appropriate to start Christmas decorations, Christmas music, trees up, all of that?
November 1st. But I also don't
What?
celebrate Thanksgiving, so.
Sam, you're telling me that in New Zealand, you did not celebrate America's Thanksgiving.
I know, crazy, right?
So do you not celebrate it now?
No.
Because it's the best food.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's even more interesting. So, Sam, since you decided to steal the spotlight, when
Oh,
do
no.
your people
Wow.
start celebrating Christmas, putting up decorations and all that jazz?
Well, my parents don't usually do it until maybe like a month before Christmas, if that. But I personally,
So in November.
yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's also just more they don't want to go outside and have to put all the lights out because it's a lot of effort because they do it themselves. So
Wow. There are
yeah,
companies that do it. I will tell you
yeah.
this year we got, are you familiar with Jellyfish Lighting? Not a sponsor. There's other companies. It's permanent lighting
No.
and you can do any colors, any color combination or anything like that. So right now we've got a Halloween theme going on.
That's cute.
Nice.
Yeah. So we
Like
had a
that.
4th of July thing going, all of that. So no more having to pay someone to put them up and take them down. Okay. So about a month before. Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah, what do you think? What have you experienced, and what do you think is right? Because those might not be the two. Those two may not be the same.
I feel like I've seen people, at least corporations, start Christmas as early as like September.
So is that my
If not
question?
August.
No, it's
But
not your question, but
Was that my
we are.
question?
well, I'm getting into it. Like
No.
that's as
See,
early as I've seen it.
if you were on the stand, opposing counsel would say objection non-responsive, and it would be sustained.
They don't know
Well-
what any of that means.
I'm leading into it.
That's not how it works, but okay.
Okay. Well, we just have all the
Great.
time in the
I'm
world.
leading into my answer. We're just
Okay.
killing time. So
Anytime. We
I
don't need to
do
kill
have a
time.
4 o'clock, Sarah.
anyways, what I think is acceptable is November 1st. The soonest, the
Okay.
earliest.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm not going to ask follow-up questions because I don't know what's
Yeah.
gotten into you today. Cynthia.
I don't know.
When I do it is whenever my husband allows me to take down the Halloween decorations because
Sounds
his
like-
favorite
Okay.
holiday is Halloween.
I can see that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I usually win the fight around December 1st.
Got it.
Dang.
So what we do, and this is a very personal reason, my birthday is November 26th. And so that's always on or about Thanksgiving. And so Thanksgiving is an important holiday to me. Some people, I was just talking to somebody the other day about how they have a birthday that's around Thanksgiving, or they have a son who has a birthday around Thanksgiving and they don't like it because they're not like in school. And so they're not making a big deal about it in school. And I could not have possibly at any point in my life given a shit about that. I liked having the time off and I liked my family being forced to be together and acknowledge it. And I feel like Christmas season does not start until after my birthday.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Which, to make another Elvis reference, the next question I'm going to ask is when do the Christmas lights and decorations come down? And I'll tell you, they still put up the original Christmas lights at Graceland and they don't come down until January 8th, his birthday, which was per his tradition when he was alive. When do they need to come down? Sam.
Like middle of January at the latest.
Okay.
I like
Sarah?
having the twinkly lights and everything.
I don't
Okay.
know. I'd say like beginning of the new year.
Cynthia?
Usually we do like New Year's, the closest weekend after New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the same. About the same. You can leave the, what is it? What's the line? Christmas lights up till January. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, all right. Well, I'm glad that we actually did that first before we go back to that, because it leads into kind of the heart of the matter, and that is ho, 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 heart attack. So, something that we stumbled upon because it was an idea I had. I think the biggest issue that we fight against when it comes to doing wills, trusts, powers of attorney, probate, estate planning is getting people to just get around to doing it. All the other things seem to be more excuses that people will put in the way of just getting around and having it done. And so our jobs to be able to make sure that we're helping people get this service that we and many other qualified firms provide is to help them understand urgency. So one day I'm driving my 5-year-old to school as I do every morning. Every morning that she has school, because that would be weird to take her to school on days
Every
that she
morning.
doesn't. Yeah. And I was thinking, I wonder if more people die during the holidays. So I go to the Google, and Sarah, what did I find? Tell us.
That is correct. That's what you found. Heart attacks actually spike during the holidays.
What
Hooray.
is the day of the year when most heart attacks happen?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. That's crazy. And it's not just heart attacks, it's other hospitalization, it's car accidents actually increase, which that one may be somewhat more intuitive because of the increased traveling, the increased driving, the increased traffic, but also, holiday stress, this, that, and the other. So, yes. And so, one reason why it's good for us to be dropping this episode prior to the time that it sounds like any of us like to acknowledge the holidays. And, being in a multi-faith family such as I, um, any of the holidays that come up that you choose to celebrate or are made to celebrate, uh, this is the same thing for that. But we want to start preparing people because um, unlike the way this online legal planning crap presents it, where in 15 minutes you can have a will. No, in 15 minutes you can fill out a form that is a piece of shit and you probably won't get signed correctly. But it still has to be signed. So the process that we employ and the process that quality law firms employ is being able to meet with you, talk about what you're looking for, helping advise you on how to accomplish those things, putting the drafts together, having you review them, work through any questions, corrections, or changes, and then signing them. And speaking of ceremonies and traditions and everything, we're going to talk more about how critical that is. And it's probably something that if you put a list of things that I am most obsessive about, getting documents signed correctly in that process is probably high up there. And I think I've converted everybody in the office, but I think Sam and I may be the only ones who take it so deeply personally.
Yeah.
Getting it,
Are you
it's like, come
excluding
on.
me because I no longer do it, or because
It's
that
just
is
like
something I did?
like we're personally offended. Like we'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh, why did they miss that signature?
I'm less personally
could they-
offended by things. I have less faith in the world.
How could
That's
they
fair.
do that to me?
You like to
Like
be
the
more
sounding?
optimistic.
Yeah, there's too much crosstalk. I don't really have any idea what anybody's saying. So the point is that yes, so there is a process and there's a timeline. And while these things can be done very quickly, and we try to accommodate those things, I mean, we've done some rather ridiculous turnaround times. We've even done wills while you wait, which is probably my least favorite approach. But sometimes when it comes to the full title of the document, last will and testament, it's literal. That really will be your last will and testament. That now is a good time to start, to have everything wrapped up before you are more likely to have a heart attack. And so we've had some fun, I think, with this campaign because our brand is to be a little tongue in cheek, to be a little fun, to try and drive home the point. But anytime that we are a little avant-garde, we get some interesting pushback. And so that just means it's working. And I do think some people may have found our ho, ho, ho heart attack ad campaign award-winning ad campaign.
I don't.
To
That one
be,
hasn't won any awards.
I mean,
It will.
it will. Yeah, that's all we need to say.
Sounds threatening.
Mm.
It really is to help drive home the point. And we do take this all very, very seriously. We do. But whatever we can do to try and get eyes on it, get attention, and make sure that people understand the importance of getting things done, we're going to try to do that. And the fact of the matter is, the reality is that it's always a good time. Now, whenever you're listening to this, now is always the right time to get a plan in place. But if it incentivizes anybody out there, the fact of the matter is that the holiday season does bring about the necessity of having powers of attorney, wills, trusts, and so forth to a much greater extent. And while people are busy during the holidays, it's also a time that we find that there is more free time in the sense of making appointments, reviewing things, and all of that, which is one reason why Burch Law doesn't close a whole bunch during any sort of holidays, is because we know that's a time when people can make those appointments, can do that. So just know that like Santa Claus, you don't have to believe in him, but he believes in you. You don't have to believe that your time is coming, but mortality does believe in you. Sarah, you're leaning in to your microphone, and that's always like an indication that you have something to say.
No, that was just habit.
So you have nothing to say?
I have absolutely nothing to say.
Okay, fantastic. So Cynthia also came up with some thoughts about traditions, procedures, and things like that. So let's talk about that. Let's have Cynthia kind of kick that off in the legal world. Some other types of traditions, as it were, that we face. What you got?
Well, mostly something people don't think about is actually probating something. So once somebody passes away, you have to go through some sort of process, and you do have to go to a hearing a few times, like depending on the type of planning that you did. Some do result in having to go to court. Some result in very lengthy processes where you have to do it multiple times if there's issues, if something wasn't done right, if somebody contests something. Like that is something where you have to go to court a lot. If it's done correctly, you may be able to avoid probate hearings altogether. One of the things that people don't think about is how those are all steeped in just old traditions that we accepted a really long time ago and still now just take as rules. So
Right.
we call it the court. Well, it used to be like the royal courts, and that's what all of that's called. Like there's different parts of the courtroom. If our attorneys don't really go in person very often, Shruti mainly does virtual hearings, but whenever you go to the court room, like there's a part that's like the bar, you have to pass the bar to enter into the well, the bench where the judge sits. Like these are all things that are steeped in a lot of like tradition and ancient and archaic at times things. And I feel that
in England, they have to wear the
Mhm.
wigs in
Yeah,
court.
the powdered wigs.
Oh, no
Yeah.
way.
Do you not know this, Sarah? Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
No.
I know. See,
Yeah.
we don't have to do that because we tasted freedom.
Damn.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like there's just a lot of things that people haven't had the opportunity to learn about. And that's one of the things that I think is a really interesting tradition.
Huh.
Sarah, it feels like a
Sarah, I
thought
feel like your
a comment
mind
is
is completely
formulated.
blown. They also call attorneys barristers over there.
Yeah.
You could see her Googling it because I just see her mouth wigs really slowly as she's typing.
I just see like, Sarah, do you want to talk about this, about the wigs?
I guess, yeah, I'm just perplexed why they still wear that. What's the purpose?
Because of tradition. Because
Okay.
of,
Yeah.
so, you know how here, our judges, they wear the black
Robe.
judges robes,
Yeah.
have a gavel and all of those things. That it's like this is I feel like this is like going into a lot of things, but showing a respect for the institution, for the entities, for the process that you're doing, showing just it's a lot of procedural things that we date back to olden times. Some things don't
Days
get
of
changed.
yore,
Yeah, like that's kind of
yesteryear.
it's fascinating. Like all the different traditions that have morphed throughout the years, or all the different things that were rules then, but now it's like it doesn't really make sense, but we still do it because it's what we've
Yeah.
done for so long.
That makes sense. Man.
Yeah,
I
a lot
mean,
of stuff we just do it because we've done it.
I think that's something that, hangs up a lot of people and where we're having to navigate a lot of problems, particularly when they don't do any planning or try to do it themselves, is there's just things from English common law that
Mhm.
49 states in the Union apply. Louisiana is the holdout. They apply the Napoleonic Code, French law.
Yep.
But
Sarah, I feel
there,
like you're learning a lot this episode.
I
It is.
am. That's crazy.
yeah, so even like the common law issues and what they're common law both and community property is what I was trying to get at. You know, what I try to tell clients all the time is like, I didn't write these laws, and you might think some of them are a little outlandish and counterintuitive and all of that. And yet here we are. And particularly with the way that our country was founded, that there is a certain amount of autonomy that each state has. And this is one of the areas where there is the most autonomy for um, for states when it comes to how wills are drafted, powers of attorney, how they're signed, the requirements around that. And we just had someone, Sam, I think, didn't we, that we sent them a copy of a trust and they decided to get it docu-signed.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay. Like, I get it. I
But
get
people don't
you.
know.
Yeah.
Except the law does not, Texas law does not allow for a trust or a will to be docu-signed. It has to have what's
Yeah.
called a wet signature.
They also live in France, and because of the company that they use, the notary was in Florida.
What?
Well,
Mhm.
and there
Yeah.
are so a couple things there, and again, this has to do
Interesting.
with people not knowing the
Yeah.
traditions, conventions, or requirements, is that a trust, unlike other estate planning documents, does not have to be notarized. The
Mhm.
other thing is that embassies and consulates have the ability to do the equivalent of a notarization
Mhm.
if we so choose. And so those are all things that we've had to guide people on. But when people don't consult with us, then that's where things kind of fall apart. But the signing is, I know it seems so silly, but I just cannot wrap my head around why so many people do not get documents signed or get signed correctly. And it is called like the signing ceremony, and there are witnesses and notaries, and all of that are required. And no, family members cannot be a witness. I don't, maybe I've been in it too long to not understand how anybody could think that that's okay. Like that's a problem. I think when you've done it for too long, or being a lawyer because you've spent all this time going to law school where they um, basically deprogram you to think like a human and make you think a different way, that it's hard to relate to other people. But it does catch us off guard sometimes. Like, these are intelligent and or educated people, and I don't know how they can read the instructions for getting this witness and then getting witness signatures and then a witness, they don't get the witnesses and they just write an A. Like, I still can't get over that one. But I think my favorite part of that will, where there were no witnesses, but just the client putting, or not the clients, they weren't our client, obviously, but where the testator, the person creating the will, put N/A. I think my favorite part is they initialed it.
Yeah,
Like, what did they think that meant?
they did it, Lori. It was their choice and it's their document. So I think that's another piece. It's like there's things are in place for a reason. Things are in place to make sure that a lot of lines aren't blurred. Like you're sitting here thinking, oh yeah, well, these are the most trusted people, my family. They're going to witness this. Well, you want to know what else? They're also the most likely to gain benefit from it. And what if you're coerced? What if you're not in your best state of mind? These are things that just people don't think about.
Yeah, one thing that I feel like in the span of the time that I've been doing this, that we've seen a huge uptick in the last couple years is family members and or friends trying to get this done on behalf of somebody.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way. Or the other thing we see is someone no longer has the capacity. They're on hospice, or they have dementia, or they have Alzheimer's. And they're like, yeah, I need to get a power of attorney for my dad. He has full blown severe dementia. And the power of attorney is something that he would have to sign knowingly and intentionally. And so, if we're talking about the urgency of getting paperwork in place now, is like, where were you 2 years ago when this diagnosis first came about? And there is a lower standard when it comes to some estate planning documents as far as someone's cognitive abilities, but there still is a standard. So, and particularly if you've got a situation where you think that family members might have some objections or issues, and even when you don't think they will, sometimes they will, but particularly when you think that they will, then this just becomes a huge mess. Or for people who are estranged from their family and they're wanting to intentionally make sure that friends or other people are the ones who are going to be able to act for them. And so it's just sad situations to not have this in place and do it in a timely manner, right?
Yeah.
So what better time to start to get this done and have it wrapped up before the end of the year? You know, uh, throughout the many years now that I've been doing this, one of the questions I get asked is, should I wait until? And my answer is no. Like, I don't even need to hear your until. I have no idea what is going to happen to you today or tomorrow or the next day. I don't care if you get your will in place today and a month from now your job transfers you to another state. What if something happened to you between now and a month from now? And that's why I think the example of like homeowners insurance or car insurance is a great way to think about this, except it's a lot more expensive. You don't have to pay for it every year. And unlike car insurance, where you may never get in an accident unless you're Sam, or homeowners insurance, where you may never have a claim. I hate to break it to you folks, but at some point, your time is going to be up. Your clock is ticking. And so what if maybe you had to do like, oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Like, you're going to update your will every single year. Why not? The fact of the matter is, though, that you don't have to, especially when you go to a quality law firm that's going to help you build in contingencies. I mean, the fact of the matter is 70+% of people never do it. And that's a disaster. And then I would say statistically that people who do get a plan done, that they maybe update it 2 to 3 times in their life. So we're talking about taking the time and bearing the expense. The idea is this is a valuable thing to do it right. And maybe you'll have to update it, but don't worry about all the contingencies and this and that and how things will be changed. Get a plan in place now. You can always update it later. Anything is better than the nothing you have now. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So why not get this done before the end of the year? Because heart attacks, accidents, all of that increase. Sorry to tell you, but it is true. My hunch was true. Quality law firms like ours are standing by to help you. But I also thought that this was a fun opportunity for us to talk about other potential holiday traditions as we go in. And we started with that, then we did the bumming you out, and now we're back to talking about holiday traditions. And funny enough, nobody that experienced this conversation with Sam is in this podcast. We probably should have had Jordan chime in. But one of my favorite Burch Law / holiday tradition stories is I believe there was a conversation about whether you grew up where Santa gifts were unwrapped or wrapped. And I will tell you that my family tradition is that Santa gifts were unwrapped. So that on Christmas morning, when you woke up and you went to the tree, the unwrapped gifts were from Santa, the wrapped gifts were from family. And I really should let Sam probably tell us, but she would mess it up, even though she's the only one on this podcast that was there. So they're talking about this, and they asked Sam. Apparently, Sam said, "No, no, there would just be a banana at the end of our bed." And so, someone who used to work for the firm immediately started Googling if that was a New Zealand tradition or if this was a Sam tradition. So, Sam, I'm going to allow you the opportunity to chime in here now.
Yeah, so it's a family tradition. It's not a New Zealand tradition. I didn't know until I had to ask my mother. And essentially, Santa, quote unquote, would sneak in before we woke up and put like a box of chocolates. It's like a specific non-American brand, a banana, and then I think it was like a liter of Coke. I don't know why they would give us so much soda, but it was essentially a way of um, shutting us up, so we're not asking every 3 seconds when lunch was going to be ready or when prisons were going to start, stuff like that. I like to point out we would not consume everything at that point, but the fruit I think was just a balance. The chocolates and
The fruit was
the
to balance
sugar
it out.
out. Yeah.
I get that.
So one of my questions is that I think there's very few things that are as disgusting as warm soda. So
Yeah.
was it just like a really like a 2-liter thing of
like
soda?
I think we would like put it in the fridge afterwards, or like if we had some. I don't think we'd have soda at 9 a.m. in the morning or earlier. So I don't know why they would do that. But I think we would just get like a glass with some ice and like cool it down that way.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Sam, I have a question.
Yeah.
You may or may not have children. I don't even care what your opinion is at this age because I can tell you right now you don't know. I'm just
Okay.
going to tell you that. What I'm asking is if you were to have children,
Mm-hmm.
is this a tradition that you would carry on with them where they would have a banana at the foot of their bed?
Yeah. I think it's just like looking back now, it's just such a funny thing to do. So I think I would.
Do like juice or something.
Yeah. I would. I don't think I'd do soda, or if I did, it would be like a bottle, like a small one. I wouldn't do like a 2-liter bottle
Because that's ridiculous.
I love how I think you said liter and then it got changed to 2-liter and that's how it kept going.
Yeah, it's like
every
one or
time
two.
the story
Yeah,
is
I don't remember
told.
whatever the big
I don't
bottle is,
even remember
like,
now. Like,
Well,
what
but that's
is
the
that
thing.
a
In other
2-liter or a
places,
1-liter?
you can get liters.
Yeah.
In like
I don't
US,
remember which one it
mostly
is.
it's like 2 liters, but in
Yeah.
other countries they sell them in liters.
Yeah,
instead.
it's not the skinny one; it's the bigger one. So I
Okay.
think it was 2 liters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could also be remembering this all wrong.
Call your mom. We'll call her later.
She's in another country at this point, so
We'll call her when she comes back.
yeah, in a week.
Oh, and she's
If they
there,
let her
so you
come
know.
back.
Yeah,
just send her a text message.
I would hope we just renewed our green cards.
Really,
I would hope they
Lori?
would.
I don't know. These are These are
Too many
tenuous
things went
times.
wrong like the 3 days after they left. I need them to come back because apparently they have all my good luck. So
Okay, very good. All right. So I appreciate you indulging that. Cynthia, I don't know if you have any other like holiday traditions or anything that you want to share before we completely devolve into the Sam and Sarah show.
Kinda. Just some of the stuff that I remember before moving to the US. How it seems like it was more commonplace for Christmas Eve at midnight is whenever you would do family Christmas, like with your parents and your sibling.
Mm.
That's whenever you would open the gifts and such. And then Christmas Day, if like there was anything that Santa brought, that's when you would open it in the morning. So whenever people would say, are Santa gifts wrapped or unwrapped? And I'm like, well, they're always wrapped, like, because you do the family ones before that. That was kind of a
Got
thing
it.
in my brain. And now I know it's like, oh, okay, no, that's just what we did. And then Christmas Day, we would do family stuff with extended family. Because my mom
Oh.
was one of like 8, I believe. My dad was one of 5. So on Christmas Day is whenever you would do all that fun stuff with the cousins, the bajillion people. And then we kept that up whenever we moved to the US. And then that's when I started learning about other people's traditions. It's like, no, you open all the gifts the morning of Christmas. And my husband, his family, it's I didn't know if this was like everybody doing it or just his family. So this is what I do now on Christmas Eve. That night, I still do things with my mom, and then we'll go to dinner at his grandmother's house. Sometimes we'll go to like a candlelit service. Sometimes we don't. Just depends on the year. More and more recently, we haven't, just because it's a lot of people to coordinate. And then we'll do a gift from Granny at her house, and then everybody gets pajamas. So everybody gets pajamas the nice night before, and that's what like we stay up and we watch A Muppet's Christmas Carol every year. And yes, we are all, the youngest is what, 25, and the oldest is 37. But every year we will watch Muppet's Christmas Carol. And then Christmas morning is, get up, open the gifts. There's kids now, little ones. There's a 5 and 7-year-old, and they will wake us up as early as they can convince Lolly, which is grandma, to let them. So what they'll do is she'll bring them upstairs and she'll let them bang on your door and just let themselves in.
Oh.
In the morning, and they'll be like, it's Christmas time, it's time to open the presents. So you have to very quickly wake up and like go downstairs. Typically Luke or his sister Natalie will make orange cinnamon rolls from like the packaging, and then all the adults are just coffee, give us coffee, and then we'll open presents for a few hours.
So Cynthia, I need to know like how you and I have such similar lives, but such different backgrounds. Because a couple of my favorite traditions is that for us, there is one Christmas Eve gift that everybody gets. And growing up, I remember my mom would always put a tag on it. We always use tags, present tags. So to Lori from Eve is how she would do it. And they were always pajamas, so that we would sleep in those pajamas that night. And then the next day, that's what we would wear and all the pictures would be in. And then another thing is we always had those orange cinnamon rolls. And even to this day, like I always have those.
Oh.
I always
Yeah,
have
Luke's
those ready to go.
family, no one can start
Kimberly
opening
knows.
gifts until they're made.
Orange cinnamon rolls Christmas morning. Another tradition we have, and this might be a total Gen X thing, but we always have Santa Mouse gifts. So there's this book about Santa Mouse, and I won't tell the story, but it's really adorable. But basically, there's a Santa Mouse, and he leaves a gift in your tree with a yellow ribbon. And it's always like I've had to tell Kimberly because my Jewish wife likes to like make sure that she does all these Christmas traditions. And before we had the little kids, she like insisted on having a tree. I'm like, we could just not do a tree this year. But now we can't get away with any of that because we have little ones. But I had to tell her like, no. Santa Mouse gifts are like little gifts. Like me growing up, it was like a $10 gift card to Best Buy.
Mm.
So they're not like big gifts, they're like little gifts, but you have to look in the tree and find something that has a yellow ribbon in it, and it'll say from Santa Mouse.
Cute.
And now's the time where we completely fall off the rails. So Sam and
Yay.
Sarah, you all go ahead. Tell us. You take the lead now. Tell us about some other traditions besides having heart attacks that people have during the holidays.
Yeah.
I think ours is a mix of some traditions around the world and then ones that we do personally. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you. So we always do things. We don't do things on Christmas. We do things Christmas Eve, and we always do a white elephant, which isn't that, uh, crazy or whatever. But like that's just what we've always done. We never do
like a banana at the
actual-
foot of your bed.
Yeah, it's not that crazy, but instead of like gifts, we'll do white elephant, and that's what we do for Christmas Eve.
My first one was about the banana. So I'm gonna tag on that. And for when we do our Christmas dinner each year for Burch Law, we do white elephant. So that's a tradition.
Oh yeah,
Well,
that's
this
true.
year, Gabby said we should do stockings. We can hang them up in the office, and that way we don't do that.
Did she mean like a secret Santa stocking? So each
No,
one of
just
us,
do-
like we get.
Like everybody does,
Secret
puts up a
Santa.
stocking, and then you put like little things in there.
So you,
I like the idea
contribute
of doing a secret
everybody's.
Santa stocking.
That'd be kind of cute.
Secret Santa would be cool.
Maybe we'll do that this year.
Yeah,
Sam,
that'd be
as someone who's on the events committee, take that back to your people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is none of us, by the way.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm just the one who pays for it all.
Your turn.
Wait, does that mean it's my turn again?
Yeah,
Yes.
because my banana one was done earlier.
I
Okay.
couldn't wait. The banana at the foot of your bed is something that I don't think I will ever, like on my deathbed, I'm going to be telling the story.
And then Kimberly will interrupt it.
Right. Indeed.
We don't do this anymore, but growing up, we would sometimes do Festivus, and we would air our grievances as a family.
We do that.
Yeah,
Just in general.
I think it's healthy.
So it's like one big roast session to each other, essentially, or like
Kinda.
that's crazy.
It's from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
by the
Oh,
way.
is it? Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
It's Festivus for the rest
And
of us. Yeah.
I feel like my mom celebrates Festivus at least once a week.
Yeah.
So real.
Same.
The next one is we mentioned this earlier as well, but doing wrapped or
Yeah.
unwrapped gifts. That was like a whole conversation. I feel like for like a week in the office. Mine's wrapped.
Mine were
Okay, so I
always
take it this next one is
unwrapped.
Sarah.
Yeah, this next one is Sarah.
Yeah, we already talked about Sam's. I don't know how weird this is. I've always heard it's like kind of strange, but it doesn't matter if you're divorced and remarried, but everybody comes together for the holidays, and it's just one big party.
No, that's never
Well-
been my experience.
So wait,
Yeah, no.
I need you to elaborate on the including those that are divorced and remarried. So let's say that your parents are divorced and they've married other people, but technically like somebody divorced out of the family, they still show
Yeah.
up with their new spouse?
Yeah,
Huh. That's progressive of y'all.
yeah.
That is not
I mean,
something that
honestly,
would
everybody in
happen.
my family is divorced and remarried. So,
How many times though?
Wow.
well, I don't know, but either way, yeah.
I don't know that there's enough room at the table for my dad's 5 wives.
Is
Yeah.
it only 5
So far,
so far?
I
This is
don't. This next one, fine,
It's,
Sam. go
it's
ahead.
not really typically a tradition because I
No.
think we've only done it like
We
once
only
or
did
twice.
it one time.
But I'm gonna put it on
We
here.
did it once.
One that
time.
maybe could be a Burch Law tradition is us. We go to Lori's house and there's a little pit there, and we burn things.
Okay, let me
Can
further
you
elaborate on this because
Satia's going to give context to this, please.
yes, because
Well, I was
It's
gonna give
amazing,
context, but then she
Sam.
like I was setting it up.
that's not how you set this up. There is tradition in many cultures that whenever there's like energy or something that you want to get rid of, you have a ceremonial burning of something. So this is what this is. We've only done it one time, and if I remember correctly,
So
somebody acquired a tiny pinata
Oh, that's
and we
right.
stuffed it full of different things that represented other things, and it was in Lori's house in the
Yeah.
grill.
Yeah.
It was
We should do it again.
kind of weird.
I could see us doing it again.
Yeah.
We'll probably do it
It
again.
might be
but
time.
That's
It might be
It
time.
feels like it needs
very
to be a yearly
ceremonial.
thing or a bi-yearly, just to get rid of.
just go to Burning Man, Sam. Go to Burning Man. They do the same thing.
I would never go to Burning Man in my
Oh.
life.
What about walking across hot coals?
No.
No.
As a team,
And
no, it's a team event. That's what I'm saying.
whatever. Like, would you do
No.
it?
No.
I've heard that
No.
it's not that hot.
If you
I don't
keep
believe it.
moving, it's like, well, hold on. It's like whenever
My feet are
you're
very
on the
sensitive.
beach,
I have very
you, like,
delicate feet.
walk across the sand without
Yeah.
shoes on, or whenever you're walking
worth
to the
it.
pool, whenever it's hot out, and you're walking across like the concrete.
Mm.
You can fire an egg on some of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love eggs.
I know. we know.
Next.
Elf on the Shelf. I personally find this one very creepy. I don't like it.
Did they do it for you as a child?
No.
Oh, okay.
All
Because
right.
I don't
Look,
like it.
as the only one who is a parent thus far here, everybody can do what they want to do. I am not on board with Elf on a Shelf. I didn't grow up with this. There is a time period for the now 14-year-old where we had to do it. It's a lot of stress. So thus far, I have adamantly protected my 5 and 2-year-old from this, and I hope that they never ever want this.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Do they do it at school at all?
Now this year, Adley may want axolotl on a shelf because she wants axolotl everything. But there's not. We also have a Minch on a bench because we're a multi-faith family. But there's not as much pressure because there's just a lot more forgiveness there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we get into traditions around the world. So the first one is Krampus, and this is in Germany, Austria, and Hungary. And it's known as Santa's worst half is a hairy devil-like creature called Krampus. Legend has it that while Santa brings toys to the nice children, Krampus's job is to punish kids on the naughty list. Mostly he just frightens the kids with his beastly looks, but it's said that he throws particularly bad children into a sack or chains them up into his basket and carts them off to hell. People in Austria and neighboring countries often dress up as Krampus in early December and wander the streets to scare children.
Oh, to scare
I
children.
think there's also a movie called Krampus.
There is.
I hope that we are evolved enough as a society where this is not acceptable. I'm just going to put that out there. I asked you all not to post this stuff so that I could respond to it in real time.
Uh-huh.
You did not do that. So what the hell is this next thing? What is this?
The pooping log. It's a tradition in like the Spanish region of Catalonia. It's called the Tio de Nadal, which roughly translates to Christmas log. And the log is hollowed out and given a face with legs and a little red hat specifically. And then starting on December 8th, families, quote, feed the log every night by filling it with presents and candy. And then they also put a blanket over the log to keep it warm. And then on Christmas Eve, the log is placed into an unlit fireplace, and members of the family take turns bashing it with a stick, commanding it to commanding it to defecate out on the presents or defecate out the presents and candy while singing traditional songs. After the beating, family members reach below the log's blanket to retrieve the gifts.
That is what this website says.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one.
It's like a pinata, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. The last one is titled KFC for Christmas. This is in Japan. So in Japan, it's all about KFC for Christmas. It's estimated about 3.5 million Japanese families eat fried chicken on Christmas Eve. And it's thanks to a marketing stunt that KFC did in the 1970s called Kentucky for Christmas. So
I see some other words there.
I'm not. I tried earlier. I could not say it, and nobody needs to hear me do that.
Okay.
But Christians make up a very small percentage of the Japanese population. So this was KFC's way of making up for the lack of Christmas holiday traditions in Japan. And the KFC Christmas meal is so popular, a lot of families pre-order their dinners, which include fried chicken, cake, and champagne, and they pre-order it months in advance. That's how popular it is.
Dang.
What is a fried chicken cake?
Months.
I think it's just a cake.
Okay.
Like fried chicken, comma, cake, comma.
Oh.
Yeah, there's, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know where the Jewish people go for Christmas Day.
Wait, hold on. One thing though, it says fried chicken, comma, cake, and champagne. There is no comma between the cake and the champagne, so no Oxford comma used on this website.
Ooh,
this is what y'all
man.
found.
Yeah.
I would eat
It
a
is
champagne
babble.com.
cake.
Yeah.
I would eat a champagne cake.
I would too. Like 100%.
Do you know where a common place for Jewish people to eat on Christmas Day is?
Yes.
No?
Chinese food.
I was gonna say Vietnamese. Like I only said that
Chinese.
because for Thanksgiving that's usually the only place open, and that's where me and my family go. Yeah. So
You and your family go to a Vietnamese restaurant for Thanksgiving Day?
yeah, usually.
So that's a tradition.
Huh.
Well, it's not like every year. It's like if we don't have any food in the house, everything's closed.
Are you going home for Thanksgiving?
Maybe. I haven't decided.
Have you ever gone to a Thanksgiving dinner, like a traditional American Thanksgiving dinner?
Our neighbors before we bought their house, or my parents bought their house, invited us over like a couple of years in a row, and that's the first time I had fried turkey. I think.
Oh, we make a good fried turkey.
Yeah,
Nice.
and that's the only time I've ever liked turkey.
It's really good.
Sam, I think you should stay in town, and I think you should come to my sister's house. If you want to experience at least one time in your life the most ultimate traditional Thanksgiving.
I'm down. I just have to see what my parents are doing.
Okay, well, let me know, because my sister will invite anybody and everybody, but she's very intense about a head count.
Okay.
Yes, as you should be. If you're going to RSVP, you better be there. If you get invited and you're not planning on showing up, you better say it. I won't be there.
Very true.
Jamie's come sometimes.
Oh, that's cute.
Anyway, I think you should. Okay, very good. Thanks for listening. And just to cover all our bases about what you just heard, I'm sorry and you're welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And tell your friends about us. We do webinars and live events. The best way to stay up to date is to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, maybe you have a question you'd like us to answer, or maybe you just want to say hi, hit the link in the show notes or go to burch-law.com/podcast and fill out the contact form.
Much better.
Yeah, I thought that had a lot of energy.